Bun găsit la emisiunea Știință și Cunoaștere. Peste câteva momente vom avea o legătură directă peste ocean cu profesorul de biologie Dr. Bruce Lipton, care în acest moment se află în California, Statele Unite. Foarte pe scurt o să fac câteva precizări. Domnul profesor Bruce Lipton este cercetător în domeniul biologiei celulare și a studiat la Universitatea Virginia din Charlottesville, obținând un doctorat, iar apoi a predat cursuri la Departamentul de Anatomie a Facultății de Medicină de la Universitatea Wisconsin. Dr. Bruce Lipton a realizat clonarea celulelor stem în cadrul unei cercetări legate de distrofia musculară, focalizându-și atenția asupra mecanismelor celulare. A pus bazele unei tehnici experimentale de transplant de țesut alături de colegul său, Dr. Ed Schultz, publicând un articol în revista Nature despre ingineria genetică. În prezent, Dr. Bruce Lipton își prezintă teoriile și noua sa înțelegere asupra biologiei către publicul nespecialist și este recunoscut cel mai mult prin cartea și DVD-ul aferent numit Biologia credinței. Noi vom vorbi în limba engleză, dar traducerea va fi subtitrată în limba română. Hello, Dr. Bruce Lipton. It's a real pleasure to meet you again on this second program over Romania from TVR Cluj.
Well, Christian, I want to tell you, I wish I was back in Romania because it was one of the most wonderful visits I had when I went to Europe, and I missed the people. They were so wonderful and loving, and they loved the new science, which I thought was great.
Maybe you'll return someday.
I wish to do that because I didn't go to the mountains, and I really want to go up into the mountains.
Okay, that's great. And we have a nice forest nearby Cluj called Forest of Baciu, which is very famous.
I would love to visit.
Yeah, okay. And the Botanic Garden also. It's unique in Europe.
Well, I'm coming back.
I look forward to meet you here. Okay, I had selected only 19 questions from those 33 initially found on your web, and I said that because it's a lot of story to tell, and maybe the rest of them we will discuss within another program.
Well, you know, let's get the ones that you're interested in because I'm sure the conversation will expand.
Okay. So the first one is, what is spontaneous evolution, and if it is anything like spontaneous remission?
The book was called Spontaneous Evolution just because it is like spontaneous remission, meaning a patient is sick and dying, and everyone thinks this person is going to die, the doctors and the family, and all of a sudden they get healed, remarkable healing. And it really has to do with the common character of a spontaneous remission is that there's a big change of belief on the part of the patient. Rather than thinking about dying, they start thinking about, no, I want to live, I want to have a good life, I want to have some fun, and all of a sudden their life changes. And so it's basically when the belief changes, then the healing comes. And why I call the book Spontaneous Evolution is because we are in a process of evolution right at this minute. This is what we see all around the globe, the Arab Spring, the Occupy Wall Street, all of these changes politically in every country, the economic crisis, all of these are showing us that we're facing an evolution. And just like in a patient, it doesn't take millions of years to do an evolution. If we as a population, if the human population changes its belief system, then just like a patient that changes the belief system, then when the human population changes the belief system, the world will change instantaneous. So it's not going to be an evolution dragged out for hundreds and hundreds of years. It'll happen within the next few years. It'll be a whole change in the planet. And this is what the crises that we face today are all coming to. It says we cannot continue living the way we've been living on this planet, because that has been the cause of the problem, the way we are destroying the environment.
Yeah.
So it says we have to think different, we have to behave differently, we have to have a new vision. And this is what's happening all around the world at the same time. So we are actually beginning the evolution right now. And in the history books, they'll go back to this very time and say this was the spark that changed the evolution of the planet. And so this is a most important time for humans on this planet, because we're in a place where we have to make a choice. It's our choice. If we don't want to change the way we're living, then we will go extinct. But if we do change the way we're living and live more in harmony with nature, then we will have a spontaneous remission or a spontaneous evolution.
So let's return now a little to the 4 myth perceptions of the biology, and please tell us, what are they?
Well, the story is that in our world today, we look to science to provide the truth. So we want to know if something's true or not. We say, is it scientific? And so therefore, science is the judge of what is true about the earth and things that we should know how to live on the planet. Well, there are 4 different beliefs that we have been living by as a civilization, these beliefs of science. And we create a world based on these beliefs. And it now turns out these 4 beliefs, which I'll mention, these 4 beliefs are wrong. And by continuing to use these beliefs to guide our lives, we are going into destruction. So this is the most important time to recognize we have been living by some false belief, and that we have to change our life with the new science.
Yes, please describe them.
Okay. The first belief is that we believe we live in a physical universe where everything is made out of matter and physical stuff, and that this is based on Newtonian physics that says you can look at the universe and you can just look at the physical part. So if you want to look at a body, you look at it as cells and chemistry and genes. We look at the world and all the physical things. And that physics, Newtonian physics, does not give any emphasis to the invisible world, the invisible world of energy. That's not covered in that physics. The new physics, which is not new anymore, came in 1925, and it's called quantum physics. And quantum physics turns the table and it says there's a material and an energy world. And actually, the material world is made out of energy, so the whole universe is energy. But what's important about quantum physics is quantum physics says that the energy, the invisible world, is what shapes the physical world. So that the invisible energy around us is actually changing the physical world. And it's interesting because if I say, what's this energy called? And physicists call the invisible energy around us, they call it the field. I say, what is the definition of the field? And the definition is, the field is invisible moving forces that affect the physical world. And I say, okay, that's right. The invisible forces affect the physical world, and they call it the field. And I say, it's the same definition that spirit is. Spirit is invisible moving forces that affect the physical world. So we left spirit out of the equation.
Sometimes is used the term zero-point energy.
Zero-point energy is talking about the source of the energy that's in the background of all of this. Well, we look at each other and see a physical body. This is not real. The reason what you see, it looks physical, is because the light bounces off the surface, and so you see a reflection of energy. The human body is made out of atoms. Okay, I say, yeah, but what quantum physics showed was that if you go inside the atom and say, what is the atom made out of? Quantum physics shows that the atom is made out of invisible energy. So I say, well, atoms are energy. And I go, yeah. And I say, yeah, but atoms make molecules and cells. I go, yeah, but then those are energy. And cells make humans. And we are energy. And so you say, but I can see you and touch you. And I go, yeah, that you can see me because the light bounces off. In the dark, you can't see me. And then I say, but it's physical because I can touch you. And I go, a tornado, a big windstorm, a cyclone. If there's a tornado and you try to drive your car through a tornado, you can't drive the car through a tornado because the force of the wind is so strong, it'll just crush the car. So the issue is, so is a tornado physical? I say, no. Tornado is energy. It's a spinning energy, a force field. And I go, an atom is a nano tornado, a micro tornado. That's what an atom is. So you can't put a car through a tornado. You can't put your hand through a tornado. You can't put your hand through me, even though I'm an energy, because all my atoms are miniature tornadoes. So we have to change our vision. And this is what the new science says. We kept thinking everything was physical. But it turns out, no, everything is energy. And energy at any level affects energy at any other level. So invisible energy is affecting the energy that looks physical.
Okay. And about the other myth?
And now the next myth is a revolution. The next myth is we have believed for the last 60, 70 years that genes control our lives. And you say, yeah, genes control the traits that I have. And I go, well, the genes are molecules like blueprints to build a building. The genes are blueprints to build a human being. And then you say, but my character is controlled by my genes. That's what we said. And then I say, well, wait, did you pick the genes you came with? And you say, no, I didn't, that just happened between my mother and father. The genes came together and here I am. And I said, but if you don't like your traits, if you don't like the things you inherited, can you change them? And I said, no, you can't change them. And so what do we believe from that science? And the answer is that we believe that we are controlled by our genes, that our fate is determined by our genes, such as cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, obesity, all these different kinds of diseases, we say genes cause them. That's the old belief. There's a new belief, and it sounds almost the same. Genetic control is the old belief. Genetic control means control by genes. The new science almost sounds the same, but it's a revolution. It's called epigenetic control. That little epi in the front, the EPI, means above. So when I say epigenetic control, what I'm saying is control above the genes. And all of a sudden you say, well, what controls the genes? Our mind. And this is the new science, because it says if you change your way you experience life, if you change your beliefs, if you just change your emotions and attitudes, you change your genetics. And why that's important is the old story, genetic control, you're a victim. You're a victim. The genes control you. The new story, the new science, you're a master, because you can change your genes by changing your belief, changing the way you live, changing your emotions. All of these can change your genes. And that's how you create disease, because of your beliefs. And that's how you can heal your disease, because of your beliefs. And that goes back to like spontaneous remission, where a person is terminally ill and they change their belief and then all of a sudden they become healed. And this is going to happen to the planet. And what we're going to learn is that we can do this to ourselves, that we control our health. So we go from victim to master of our health and our lives with the new science. Now, number 3 and number 4, the two different, the two beliefs that have been changed, or the number 3 and 4 beliefs, are very important because these are beliefs that shape the world that we live in. Belief number 3 that we have that is wrong is a belief in Darwinian theory. And Darwinian theory is, they summarize, they say the theory is the survival of the fittest in the struggle for existence. This is the motto of Darwinian theory. It says that life is a struggle, that we have to go out there and fight each other to be a winner, because if you don't win, you're going to die. And so basically it says that life is competition, that we compete against each other to survive, because the whole belief was that we will reproduce too fast, there won't be enough food, and therefore who's going to get the food? And all of a sudden they say, the winner of the fight. So we, for 100 years, 150 years, have been engaged in competition, one person against another person, one country against another country, fighting against each other because of the belief, it's just a belief, that if we don't fight and get into the struggle and become the fittest, that we will die. It turns out that belief is wrong, because we now know that nature is not based on competition. Nature is based on the complete opposite. Nature is based on cooperation.
I wish to concentrate ourselves in this program more on about the differences between the new biology and the old academic science, because we want to promote the correct science to the public.
Yes. Okay, let me give you the last one of the 4, because it also relates to us. And the last one of the 4 is, according to Darwin theory, evolution was random, meaning that genetic changes were just accidents, and that's how all the organisms got here. And so we don't see our connection to nature, because we say, oh, the only reason we're here is just accident of genetics. And it turns out, no. All the organisms that were created by nature to bring harmony and balance to the garden. Now, we can go back to the first 2 of the misperceptions. Number 1, Newtonian physics is now really quantum physics. And number 2, the old genetics is now something new called the epigenetics, the new one. These change the whole idea of human health and human relationships. It's a profoundly different change in science. So, for example, what is the health consequence of the Newtonian physics, quantum physics change? And the answer is this. In a Newtonian world, we believe that you just have to look at the physical things, that we don't count the energy at all. So if you want to understand how a human body works, then we take the body apart, just like a mechanic takes apart a car and looks at all the parts and see how they work. This is what we did with the human body. We looked at it as a physical machine. We took it apart. We found all the chemicals, and we found the genes. And then we have to say, well, how, if the body is not working right, where do you go look for the problem? And they say, well, it's just like if your car is not working right, some parts are probably broken. So when you look at the body as a vehicle, like a car, and it's not working right, then you treat it just like a mechanic at the gas station. You adjust the parts, and we use drugs. Those are chemicals to fix the chemical body, so that we think that it's a physical body only. We put chemicals in there to try to fix the body, and that's why we take drugs. And it turns out the body is like a car. It is a physical car. It's got physical parts and molecules and chemistry. But what the story left out is there's a driver. The driver is invisible. It's the mind. The mind is the driver of the vehicle, the car. And why is that important? Well, look, go back to the story of a car. If I give you my car and you don't have driver education, you don't know how to drive a car, then I give you the car. I'm sure you'll break the car, destroy the car, because you won't know how to drive it. And then we'll have to fix the car all the time. And the fact is, if you learn how to drive the car correctly, then the car lasts a long time. Well, here's the problem. The body is like a car. It's like a vehicle, and our mind is the driver. If we don't give a mind driver education of how to drive the vehicle, then our mind could destroy the vehicle rather than keep it healthy. And this is the problem we face in the world today, because up to now, science and medicine doesn't talk about the mind because it's invisible energy. And they operate by Newtonian principles that say, no, it's just the physical world that we have to look at. So they take the mind out of the equation. So they say, if there's something wrong with your body, it's because there's something wrong with the machine. That's the cause. And now we find out, no, the mind is actually controlling the biology. It's the invisible forces, your thoughts. And your thoughts are affecting your biology. And therefore, if you have thoughts that are not in harmony with your life and not in harmony with the cells in your body, you have thoughts that are out of balance. You have thoughts that are self-destructive. You have thoughts that don't support you. Those invisible thoughts are now found to change the biology in your body. And so all of a sudden it says, the old science says, oh, if there's anything wrong with you, it's just because the parts are breaking. And the new science says, no, if there's anything wrong with you, 90% of the time, it has nothing to do with the physical body. It has everything to do with your thoughts, with how your thoughts are driving the body, how your thoughts are causing damage inside your physical body, inside your mind, inside your whole interior of your body, your thoughts. And so we go back to a science that says, before I treat you with drugs and chemistry, the first thing I have to really look at is the relationship of your thoughts, your spirit, your mind. All of these invisible things are what are causing the issue of the problems in your body. And in fact, the pharmaceutical drugs are one of the biggest problems in healthcare today, because the drugs are causing most of the illnesses and serious problems that we face.
Yes, but about that healing, how do you put my experience described in my published paper, because it's a different approach from what you are speaking about using the bioresources, biotransformations, and biological transmutations.
Yes, well, this is absolutely, what you were doing was, first, you were creating a thought, you were creating an intention, you had a mission, you were working on, I'm going to focus my thought on healing. And that is the beginning of the healing process, because you're setting up that invisible field, which the physics talks about. The thought is a field. It's shaping your body. So your work was focused on changing your body, changing your energy levels. And this is what the most important point is. I said, you're the driver. And when you started to do the healing, you took control of the car. And you started to say, no, I want to drive it the way I want to drive it. I want this to be the result. And all of a sudden, you recognize how you changed your life. You changed the way you live. You changed your thoughts. And guess what? Your body changed right along with your thoughts. So you are demonstrating the role of a mind as the driver of the vehicle, and the role of the mind in creating the character of your own health. And this is what we want to return to people, because the conventional medicine says you're a victim, that you can't control your health. That's why we have to go pay the pharmaceutical company for all the chemicals and all the drugs. And that's what they have us believe. But that's not true. And the fact is, you can heal yourself better without the drugs. And you have demonstrated this because this is the nature of your work. This is what you did. And the first thing you did, if you go back and think about it, is you made a commitment. You made a belief that I'm going to do this. And when you committed that, that's the driver of the vehicle putting your hands on the wheel and beginning to drive the car. And this is what people have to learn, because most of them are like in the back seat of the car, thinking the car is driving itself, but they have to learn, no, they're the driver of the car.
Yeah,
And you learned that.
but it was very, very difficult to accomplish because I did that at too older age. This means that if someone accomplished this at 20 years old or 30 years old, then it would have been much more easier. So for this reason, it was very difficult for me.
Well, think about it this way. If you're 30 or 40 years old and you want to go skiing for the first time, it's very hard to learn skiing. If you're 5 years old and you go skiing, you can learn in one day, you know? So as we get older, it's harder to change the belief system a little bit because we make habit by repeating things. The more habits you have, the harder it is to change some of those habits. So younger people can change faster than older people sometimes, okay? Especially very young kids. But there's new ways of getting control of our mind. There's new psychology they call energy psychology, where you have ways to get into changing the mind much faster than ever before, so that there are new techniques to make the change faster, to give people an opportunity to heal much faster using these new techniques. So you were a pioneer. You were back there changing your life without that technology. And it's as you said, it was harder to change it back then, but it's very important that we have to recognize that there are newer ways to do this as well and faster, because we're running out of time to change. We have to change very quickly to keep the planet alive. And your work was very critical because you have to have pioneers show the way. If you don't demonstrate the way, nobody will see it. And so your work was very important to showing, look what I can do with my life. Look, I have control over my life. And that's what people need to learn. So you become a teacher by demonstrating the power that you have. And that's why you play a very important role, not just in Romania, but around the world, Christian, because your work is showing the power of individuals that they have over their lives. And as I said, most people think they're victims, but you're teaching us a different way.
Thank you very much, Bruce. But I didn't do very much, just a little bit. Very little, I may say.
Yeah, but you did enough to show people things that they didn't believe in.
Yes, that's true.
Well, then you created new belief.
Possible.
Yes, and what my book is called The Biology of Belief, so belief is very important.
I did quote from your book as references in my paper.
Well, you were the example of using that information, so that's what's important to me.